Money Radio, discussing the business of making and spending money.
From the beautiful city of Abuja, it is my pleasure to welcome you to the Energy Focus edition of Money Radio on Leadership podcast. Today we are discussing a topic that says how decentralization of electricity supply will benefit Nigerians. Yesterday, the Senate, the House of Reps actually progressed and a vote of 98 to 2 to allow states to produce and distribute their own electricity. Yes, under the 2005 Electricity Power Sector Reform Act, all regulations concerning electricity are made by the federal government agencies for the 36 states and 774 local governments. That means everything concerning electricity generation, distribution,
transmission.
Yeah, will be actually regulated and run by the federal government. The new act, the new bill, it's not an act, the new bill is seeking to allow states to generate their own electricity and distribute. How is that going to affect Nigerian businesses, the economy, and the viability of the electricity sector? It's my pleasure to welcome you to this program. This is Mr. Anthony Uko. She is our in-house analyst when it comes to issues concerning electricity. So for those of you who do not like NEPA, add her to this.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good to be here.
I'm your host, Case Hammond. Sunset,
Yes.
how is this going to affect Nigerians?
Yes. It's actually a very welcome development that this issue has come up in the National Assembly, where they're trying to ensure that the state governments get back what is rightfully theirs, their role, if we go by the Constitution. In the Constitution, the regulation, electricity matters, the regulation, the transmission, generation, and distribution is on the concurrent list.
Yeah.
Which means that this allows the federal government to manage electricity distribution, generation, transmission, and distribution. Albeit with a caveat that for the on-grid. However, the states are allowed by the Constitution to manage, to make laws. The state assemblies can make laws that regulate the electricity business value chain as it concerns areas that are off-grid.
Okay.
And then the areas that are not covered by the national grid.
Yes.
So that means they have a role, the states have a role to play. And if this had been the case, it would have been very much beneficial to Nigerians than what we've seen thus far, because the states are closer to the people than at the federal level. So with this new, okay, like I said, that is at the Constitution level. However, there is an act under which the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission operates, and that act has vested all the regulatory activities that should concern the electricity value chain on the NERC,
Yeah.
the NEP.
Yes.
So now there is a conflict. The Constitution says electricity is on the concurrent list, and the Act says everything should rest on the NEP, which is a federal agency. Yes. So somehow the states are powerless to do something. And then the area where the states should operate constitutionally, another federal agency, the Rural Electrification Agency,
Yes.
is now playing in that field. And here we're talking about the off-grid, the off-grid power channels like the solar and the rest of the renewables.
Yes.
So with that, but even at that, being a single agency
Yes.
at the federal level, they are still yet to, they are not able to, reach out to all the nooks and the corners of the country. So we are still at this place where supply is very limited. And that limited supply comes at very huge cost to Nigerians and to businesses.
So, given this situation, is it safe to say that states not having up to now, hitherto, not having the power
Yes.
to play in that field makes it difficult or disincentivizes them to invest in electricity?
Yes. Of course, you know that the business of power generation is a very expensive one. Analysts put it that for you to generate up to 1,000 megawatts of electricity, you would need up to $1 million, as in $1 million to generate up to 1,000 megawatts of electricity. So it is that expensive. So as a result of this, it makes it rather difficult for the states to, or investors who would want to operate at the state level, to go to dabble into it in an area where they know that the laws can be used against them, and whatever they may have sunk into that project, they can forfeit it. Because
Before now, I hear that some states like Akwa Ibom, Lagos, that invested in electricity had to, and that in fact, if you can generate anything up to one mega, what's this unit again? But a certain amount you have to.
yes, if you generate up to 20
megawatts, yes,
yes,
you have to
put more than, if you generate more than 20 megawatts, then you have to put it on the national grid. So it means
that is a disincentive, clearly.
yes, that's already a disincentive. So that means what is allowed is that anything below that 20 is what can be used by that by the state. And you know that once the power goes into the national grid, that particular area that produces it loses out on being a priority for distribution, because it has to be, will I say, evenly distributed. That area is not really given that priority in terms of distribution. And we see that is what happened with the Enron deal that Lagos was involved with. Lagos was the one financing it and all that. But when it came to the point of agreeing that Lagos would have to be a priority when it comes to distribution, the law came up. And of course, except something happens with that law, that is what is still in place.
Essentially, that was monkey work, bubble chop.
Of course, you can put it that way.
So, the new law, what is in the process right now,
Yes.
I think it's going to scale through both houses, and the Nigerian Governors Forum actually, from the language we are getting from them already, from the world language and the body language, it shows that they are in favor of states actually generating their own electricity.
Yes.
So that is likely to it's likely to revamp economic activities in those states.
Yes.
I say so because if you have a state generating its own electricity, that is an opportunity for employment.
Yes.
Much employment. And then that state can hold its government, the people of the state can hold their government accountable. We are paying so and so for this, and we are not getting it. Governments can be scaled, or governors can be at least their performance can be put on scale based on the
creating
amount
more
of
jobs.
electricity, which is infrastructure,
Yes.
the amount of electricity they generate and distribute.
Mhm.
So when states begin to compete like that,
Mhm.
it's a good thing for the country.
It's a very good thing in that it will engender competition.
Yes.
Right now, what we have is a clear state of monopoly where only the agencies, the distribution companies, the power is generated and then transmitted to the national grid and then distributed, and it's only to the average person like you and I. You would only get your power supply from the distribution company that covers your franchise area.
Mhm.
You don't have a choice. You cannot. You can't say, oh, it's not like a telecommunication services where if a provider is not suiting your needs,
Yes.
you can easily switch to B provider.
Yes.
So it's not you're stuck with one and you just have to stay there. So this discussion that is ongoing, this deliberation, it's a good thing because like the report that businesses stand to gain up to 12 trillion.
Yeah.
Wow, that is a huge savings that can come, and it can do a whole lot
To revamp the
to
economy.
revamp the
We're
economy.
talking about
at all.
economic diversification. That is an
Yes.
area of diversification.
Yeah.
Let's take a short break. When we come back, we'll discuss more about the kind of states, or the states that are at least capable right now of investing in electric power supply, generations, the transmission and distribution. Stay tuned, our listeners. We'll be right back.
For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.
Money Radio, discussing the business of making and spending money.
Welcome back, viewers. You're still on to Money Radio, and this is the energy segment of the program. In the studio with me remains Mr. Anthony Uko. I'm your host, Case Hammond. We're talking about decentralization of electricity. Yes, in the sense of generation, transmission, and distribution. How states or can states actually get seriously involved in power generation? Before we went on break, we were talking about how costly it is to generate power, and you said just about 1,000 megawatts actually will be up to $1 million.
Dollars.
Yes, which is about 550 million naira. I think that is not too much. And when it comes to this issue of investment, for those governors who are, let me say, smart enough, those who are sensible enough, those who have the people at heart, it shouldn't be much for them because these are people who buy private jets left, right, center. And if Dangote refinery does come on board, not too long, this is the if promise or if not the ninth. If Dangote refinery does come on board at some time, and the country, at least, the issue of subsidy is rearranged or renegotiated, and the foreign currency is saved. With the price of oil right now, money will be going to these states. And the smart ones will be able to seize the opportunity to invest in electricity for the people instead of buying private jets. But now, let's discuss how many of these states, the resources of the states actually are in the hands of the governors. How many of these governors can actually invest in electricity to produce for their own people?
I want to believe that for many of the governors, they would want because of the benefits that being able to supply electricity more widely to more people in the state, because of the benefit it holds. Um, of course, it comes with the benefit of being able to improve the economy. You would have more businesses, especially the small businesses, which is the pivot of the economy,
Yes.
being able to function consistently and at a cheaper rate. So it means that at the end of the day, you have fewer SMEs
Yeah.
or MSMEs, as the case may be, packing up in those places.
Yes.
And those, because if you want to look at their production, their cost of production, power generation, bringing in power independently constitutes a huge part of their costs. Consider like the barbers
Yes.
who need electricity, and most times they have to burn fuel generating on their own. That's a much higher cost. And then you have the hairdressing salons.
Yes.
You have some of them who are into maybe like frozen food industry.
Yes.
You have those ones. You have like the welders.
The welders.
Yes, all these are small businesses that
depend
on power, and all of them put together, they form a very wide base of economies in each of these states.
Yes.
And so having them operate consistently and sustainably,
Yes.
profitably, would be a big boost for the economy of that state. So any government that is actually there with the people in mind,
Yes.
should want to ensure that with this power in their with this enablement regarding the law being in their power within their the ambit of their operations, that they should ideally want to make use of it and provide power so that a much wider aspect of their people gets power. So, but if we look further, already many states are even without having the full regulation in their corner, have ventured into the power sector to produce. And we have the likes of those states that, the Azura, even though it had to come through the federal system,
Yeah.
but it's still within the state, and to an extent, there's still the benefit. And with this, they can expand. I also hear there are plans for some other power projects that are still being worked on. So this regulation is going to boost that. And of course, you know that Lagos is a very big city.
Viable city.
Yes, and the capital, the economic capital of the nation. Currently, Lagos alone has 2 distribution companies,
Yeah.
covering it as a franchise. So you can imagine how huge the power demand for Lagos alone is. So there's opportunity for in fact, even beyond government itself venturing into it, there are private companies who will be willing with the enabling environment
Yes.
to go into power generation. And even as we speak, there are a lot of IPPs going on. But of course, they are operating within the ambit whereby, within the specification where they would not have to send to the national grid. So it's still a very small operation, but with the law in their corner, they can scale up these IPPs, and then they will be able to benefit more on scale of production that way. And of course, rivers.
Rivers is another one.
Rivers is another one.
They would like to.
Delta is there.
In the local parlance, they say they would like to maintain.
So we have, if a state like Edo can
Yes,
be
can
doing
do, yes,
this,
yes.
then a whole lot of other states who, like I said earlier, it should be at the heart of any government to provide power. So it depends. Like you mentioned, a lot of these governors they live a life of luxury,
flamboyant
lifestyle,
buying private jets.
So if they can have their people in mind and then cut down on some of these luxuries,
Yes.
and set their mind with a target in mind.
All those security votes may even.
Of course. So it's something that every state government should embrace, and of course at their own in their own capacities. But the bottom line will be there will be much more power available for many parts of the country, and businesses will thrive.
I think a state like Anambra also want to.
Of course, with the huge business people there, they would want that they are able to have their own power supply.
So, given that scenario, what becomes of the current arrangement with private sector, where you have the Gencos today, the transmission company, the distribution companies? What do you think that arrangement can stand this new, this on the table arrangement?
I think this arrangement would actually put the operators in the federal environment on their toes. You know, when competition comes, everyone will be up and doing to ensure that they don't lose out of the market share. But of course, to a large extent, they will still be protected in the sense that the Constitution stipulates which area the states can venture into, and what still remains the exclusive reserve of the federal government. So there is still that demarcation, even though the states will be allowed to play in that field. So I believe there's an opportunity for everyone to play. It's a very wide sector, and right now what is available on ground is abysmal. The supply is actually abysmal when you compare it to what is needed. So you cannot say that anybody will be run out, provided they are doing what they ought to do.
Yeah, it's a sector that is begging for attention.
Begging for huge attention. And right now, because it has been their exclusive right, sort of, no one has been put on their toes to ensure that the sector works as it should. The other day, when we were talking about on another issue of power, I remember you said, if these discos are not making profits, why are they fighting to remain in business? So that shows that there is a lot to be gained from it, and they know about it. So except someone puts them on their toes and make them work for their money, we'll still continue to be where we are at, and
at their mercy.
Yes, at their mercy.
Yeah, and we don't want to remain at their mercy. So let this bill scale through.
Scale through.
And,
In fact, we need this bill like
yesterday.
yesterday. So it will be a very
Okay,
good
we need this bill like yesterday to pass it to become an act. Yeah. That's how we want to draw the curtains on today's morning radio. We've been on the energy focus segment of the program. Inse, thank you very much for coming. Even though you have a busy schedule somewhere, you have to rush here, and you are rushing back. I'm surprised you are so calm in doing this. Thanks for coming. Thanks to you, our producers. Thanks to you who follow us loyally. We wish you the best for the rest of the day and for the weekend, because we are almost at the weekend. So wish you the best. Until we bring another edition of Morning Radio, it's my pleasure being your host, Case Hammond, to say stay safe, stay blessed. Have a nice day.
Thank you for watching. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.